Great movie. That movie was and I recommend anybody listening, just pick it up. I don't make any money. That all goes to my son's mom. I get no residuals at this point, so I don't care about any money I could have made.
Right.
I get to just go, well, that would have went to her anyway, so who cares?
It's nice to be attached to something that you believe in.
It was so well written that when I came home and I would argue...
Where's Mabel, by the way?
She's out there.
Okay, good.
Mabel's my teacup Yorkie. Where are my gays at? With an Hermes collar roaming around the estate. That movie, Seeing Other People, was so well written that when I would argue with my son's mom, I didn't know if I was arguing or if I was acting like I was arguing.
Really?
That's how much of a mindfuck the writing was. It was so exactly how real people behave written.
But that's the thing about, I guess, dialogue in movies. And Lord knows I'm not like someone who's experienced or an authority on making movies or being in them. But I went to see Crazy Stupid Love the other day, and certainly a lot of like really talented people, Julianne Moore and Ryan Gosling and Steve Carell, all like talented people. But the dialogue was so predictable and fake that it takes you out of it. You know,
this is my Catherwood. I would never badmouth any screenwriter because I know the hard work. It's like when Tom Segura says something racist, I immediately let it go. I didn't say that. That was my Catherwood. He thought your dialogue was predictable and fake. However, I would like to do whatever endeavor you have next.
Sure.
I'm in.
Oh, I'm not saying, look.
I'm just breaking balls.
Look, and they're going to make, and that
put your name on it.
That movie makes $100 million. Great, good for them. My point being that, like, you're watching it and you could just kind of see it coming, and like couples when they're mad at each other, they don't talk. It's not that Pollyannish.
Have you noticed when you're fighting with someone, scoot your chair up because I'm getting anxiety that you're going to pull that cord out of the floor. Have you noticed when you're fighting with someone, and I got to go on memory on this one because Nick and I have seriously never even raised voices or had anything. I mean, if you raise your voice around her, you look like a maniac. As Deacon Jones once told me, man, when she's around, you could hear a mouse pissing on cotton. Yeah.
No, Deacon.
And then my grandfather said she wouldn't say shit if she had a mouthful of it.
Was Deacon...
what do you mean was?
Was Deacon...
I'm still a threat, my Catherwood.
Or was that Rosie Greer? I'm thinking there was a famous defensive ram that was on the Brady Bunch.
That's Deacon Jones.
That was Deacon. Okay.
That's nice.
There it is.
Now we're in the sports category as well. The great thing about Deacon Jones, but I think only like 3 or 4 people have actually been on the Brady Bunch as them athletes.
Don Drysdale.
Yes. Namath. Joe Namath, Don Drysdale.
Deacon Jones.
Who else? Oh, here comes
Drysdale's the best.
No way. Deacon
For
Jones.
me, as a lifelong Dodger fan, because you can tell, like, now as an adult, I'll watch that episode and you're like, oh, Drysdale's hammered. Look at him teaching Greg how to throw a knuckleball. And
let me tell you a Deacon Jones story, and
all right,
then
please.
we'll get back to dogs doing drugs, and then we'll get to humans doing drugs. Deacon and I, super good friends. We worked on Fox NFL This Morning, and he was just a guy that could break balls, and he was totally hungover. He's out having Newport 100s, and I was just ripping bong hits and showing. It was a live show, and they just like, George Greenberg, and David Hill at Fox were like, yeah, sure, like just sit Jay Moore between Jackie Slater, Deacon Jones, and Boomer Esiason, and Marv Levy. It's a perfect fit. Like, they had balls of Gibraltar to pull that off.
Right.
And it was the best job I've ever had. And I got paid a nominal fee. Like, I didn't get rich.
Right.
But, I mean, for 3 hours, I was live, and I was with these guys, and they would toss to me and hold their breath. And I got to do remotes and stuff. But anyway, I got to be good friends with these guys, and Boomer's great, and he's got a great podcast. Boomer and Carton's a great show in New York. I know a lot of pests are listening in the New York tri-state area. But Deacon Jones, I went to his house for the Deacon Jones Foundation dinner, where he gives out scholarships. And he's in Anaheim Hills, and he is having a fucking party. This is like, it's like a party at a New Jack City, but with white people.
Fantastic.
Because he's like so OG.
Yeah.
That he can really, I mean, he's the OGest of G's. And for those of you, welcome from Bravo, and people that don't know who Deacon Jones is, he was a football player, probably the most defensive man to play football, the most dominating defensive football player that ever walked the planet pre-Ray Lewis.
Right, and I think that's a lost kind of art, the really mean, really black athlete, where like, nowadays, black athletes, it's all about, you're just essentially a rapper that's in better shape.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's all about big cars and Shark Tanks and like all that stupid stuff you see on Cribs.
Somebody watched Street Kings.
where you
the dead shark floating, and they were so high they forgot to feed the shark.
Yeah, see, it's like all that. Like back in the day, guys like Deacon Jones and like in baseball there was like the Kenny Landros of the world, like really like G's that played sports.
Here's how black, and we mean this as white guys that are jealous,
right?
As a complete positive, because
this is said as in means of affection.
Yeah, and we're not saying this tongue in cheek to be dicks. Like we're saying this like we miss it, and this is cool. Like when you were a kid and Oscar Gamble took his helmet off and he had that afro, and you're like, "Whoa, this guy's got a giant afro under his helmet."
Yeah.
Or like Earl Campbell just running through people with snot flying, and ABA basketball with gold chains and afros. Like that's what we miss.
Totally. No, exactly right. Nowadays, you get the sense that like these basketball players, especially, talk so tough, and they have the posturings of being like mean guy, like I'm from this. And there's maybe a handful of dudes that you really get that feeling that you used to get in the '70s. And I'm speaking from watching, from a historical standpoint because I wasn't alive then. But
is Tom Segura here? This took a wonderful turn.
No, but you get the sense like okay, there was a real threat in 1983 that Michael Cooper would throw down with someone on the court. There was a real threat that he was going to punch someone in the
Ask
head.
Rudy Tomjanovich if there was a threat out there.
And, no kidding. What's the Hollywood? What's the guy Hollywood something?
He got I don't know. He got his face broken in half.
Smashed. Face smash off.
Ended his career.
Yeah.
But Deacon Jones was so violent. They changed rules, and I know you guys know this, most of the podcast subscribers, but we got a lot of housewives coming over from Bravo. I just want to really quickly bring them up to speed. Deacon Jones was so good at his job, they changed the rules because he was killing quarterbacks. He invented the word sack. He goes, I get a quarterback, I just sack him up. And that became the word sack. They never recorded a quarterback sack until like 7 years into Deacon Jones' career, which makes me pissed off that Michael Strahan has the single season sack record. When Deacon Jones, I was at his house, he has a plaque from the league. And in a 14-game season, he had like 28 sacks. Right. But they didn't keep track of them yet. So, and he did the head slap.
In Strahan's defense, Deacon Jones was against offensive linemen that were like my size and like smoking before the game.
Well, so was Deacon Jones.
Yeah,
Hollywood Henderson did 4 joints before every game.
I'm saying, like, people always say, like, look, Wilt Chamberlain changed the league. Like, he had to change the rules for the guy. And I was like, yeah, but let's, cut Shaq and the Tim Duncans of the world some slack because Wilt Chamberlain was playing against, like, my dad.
But I don't know. You bring up an interesting point, but I don't think that applies to guys like the Stilt. I think Wilt, no matter when he played,
he probably would have served domes.
He's still the Big Dipper.
Yeah, that's true.
And because I always lament like what happened to the big man. We can't get too far off of this.
I know.
Put a pin in it. Maddie Cohen's our bookmark. So I go to Deacon Jones's house, and Lamar Lundy, Rosie Greer, John Mackey. There's a whole bunch of old Hall of Fame guys, and they're drinking.
Right.
They're
still big.
No, none of them are big.
Right. Okay.
But they're crunk and they're crazy. And I think John Mackey, and if I'm wrong, forgive me, he just recently passed of dementia? Ollie Madsen, maybe.
Okay.
One of those two. It's nice of me to do some homework before the podcast. But he always carries a bag around. And Deacon goes, man, don't ask that motherfucker what's in his bag. Don't ask him. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't ask a stranger like, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you.
But now you're forced to.
Congratulations on the Hall of Fame. What's in the bag?
Yeah.
Because he had dementia. One of those guys I mentioned had dementia, and he just carries this like big black Crown Royal bag around, and there was just some shit was in his bag. And then if you said like, how you doing? He said, is Randy fixing the car? That's all he said.
That's it.
And his wife would go, yes, honey, Randy's fixing the car. And he goes, all right. And then he would look at you and go, and then he would like go from his wife to you and go, Randy's fixing the car. But I mean, this is a fucking Hall of Famer who played in glory,
Yeah.
So Deacon Jones is the Deacon Jones Foundation where they give out scholarships. The first thing I notice is there's a lot of people here over the age of 70 that used to play football, and they're all wearing cowboy hats. Old black guys like Ken Norton. These guys love cowboy hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say all old black guys, and I name one guy as my big example.
No, but you're right. Like you'll often see like boxer contentious relationship with Muhammad Ali,
Frazier.
Yeah, you always see like Joe Frazier walk around town, like he's just geeking it with a cowboy
Ollie
hat.
Madsen, John Mackey, they were all rocking cowboy hats. Deacon did not. And the other thing I noticed was at this party, to give away a half dozen scholarships to the underprivileged and the needy, was the 6 kids that received scholarships, all of them were Asian. I'm thinking to myself, this is a black man that came from very poor, humble beginnings and rose to the upperest echelon. He's the greatest to ever play his position, no doubt. And I'll argue that, but I won't have to. And the people he's giving scholarships to are like Korean, like 15-year-old Korean girls. And I'm like, really, Deke? But I'm not going to clown him. It's his party. I'm happy to be there. I'm fascinated. There's Hall of Famers walking around. So Deacon Jones is wearing dolphin shorts.
Fantastic.
Like white, I still remember very vividly. White, like terry cloth dolphin shirt with the blue trim on the side and around the bottom. The kind you wish would come back. I know you're like me. I wish that shit would come back in style. Yeah. I'd wear them constantly.
You go to Gold Gym Venice Beach anytime during the week between, say, 11 a.m. and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll see me rocking shorts 2 inches above my knee.
But that's not dolphin shorts.
But they are. They're like, they're bike,
you know they're
bike company. They're perforated.
I'm talking about the kind Cheryl Teagues would wear during a tennis photo shoot. Yeah, Matt Cohen's grandpa wore them. He knows what's up. So he's wearing those shorts. I look down, just looking around, and Deacon has like these crazy scars from like his inner thigh all the way down to his knee on both. Burns, obviously.
Okay.
I mean, it looks like fucking shrapnel from. It was horrible.
Oh my god.
And he's obviously had it a long time. It's not like a new, fresh thing. So I go, hey, Deacon. Now, this is the other thing that was odd about Deacon Jones's scholarship party is all 6 of the kids that got scholarships are working as fucking waiters and busboys. They're clearing the table. You can spit it out on the rug. Catherwood's just spit it, Mike. They're like clearing our tables, and like old men are like, hey, baby, let me get another 7 and 7. And not so much ice, damn. And they're like, yeah, okay. Like, they're just running around, and they're doing, take a shot. There's a drinking game on Mohr Stories. Anytime somebody does a black voice, you have to take a shot. Right. There's been some alcohol poisoning-related incidents, especially when Segura's sitting there. And so these girls and boys are, like, clearing our tables. They're wiping the table up while these guys are, like, they're literally playing dominoes and blackjack. Like, it's a fucking crazy party. And I look at Deacon and I go, yes, like domino, motherfucker.
Yeah, man, we'd roll
Is Randy
bones.
fixing the car?
You know what I'm saying? We'd throw bones.
Randy's fixing the car. Randy's fixing the car.
Oh, good.
So I go, Deacon, how'd you get the scars on your legs? And he goes, say what? I go, how'd you get those scars on your legs? He goes, and he looks away like, I can't fucking believe you asked me that. But he says to me, say hi to my beautiful bride, Nick. This is my friend Mike. Baby Meredith.
What? Nice to see you.
Yay!
Oh my god, and the baby.
He's gorgeous, huh?
Yes.
Look at that beautiful baby. And look at those babies.
I know.
I love you, sweetie pie. On a side note, have you ever seen anybody with like a 98% positive feedback success rate on Twitter as far as her cat? We talked about it the other night. Barry Katz, I think, was at 100%. She's at like 98%. Yeah, on a pod.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Well,
my wife just said I need video pod, and people are begging for the Ustream just because Mike Catherwood. Didn't I tell you he was gorgeous?
Well, my wife means a lot coming from you, a beautiful woman like you, Nikki. Look at that.
Look at that, man.
You're a lucky man, Jay.
You're gorgeous.
You're a very lucky man, Jay.
I made love to her today.
Attaboy.
I mean, what are we talking about?
I made love to my fist in the shower at the gym.
No, you did not.
I always
jerked off at the gym.
I always leave shower babies at the gym.
Really?
Always.
That's fucking amazing.
At 100% of the time when I shower at the gym,
considering how gay a place the gym is, and this, I'm saying that as a pragmatist, not as I'm tired of fucking explaining myself.
No, it's an incredibly homoerotic.
Gay guys are walking around the gym, and my theory is, if you could walk into the girls' locker room and no one would bat an eyelash, you'd get there at 5 a.m. and you'd leave at fucking 5 a.m. the next day. You'd do chest until you can't lift your arms above your navel, and then some girl's in there shaving her twat, and she goes, I think I'm going to do some incline. You're like, I'll do it too.
Yeah. That's one of the major, and there's not very, considering the discrimination and all the stuff that they have to deal with, the gay community, that's one of the big pluses is the like public gym shower. Because most of the guys at the gym are really muscular, and they got to go. And there's just a bunch of dong everywhere. And I'm thinking to myself, if I was into dong, this is